So as the last episode was Garou's time to shine, this one is definitely Metal Bat, which really kicks into gear in the second half of the episode. But this one is more like three kind of storylines going on now. We have Garou's, of course, being the hero hunter. And of course, we have Metal Bats, which ties into an overarching story now, where executives want S-class heroes to, accompany them wherever they go, which we'll get into in a second and why that's not maybe the best idea. And then we have Saitama's little thing going on with his martial arts tournament. And of course, we'll get into all these as the review goes on. But we start the episode off with Garou as a little kid. And just this whole time, I'm thinking My Hero Academia, as I'm sure a lot of you are, with Midoriya fanboying out over All Might in front of the TV. This time, it's Garou fanboying out over Justice Man, the Justice Man TV show. But he's not rooting for Justice Man. He's rooting for the monsters, and he's disappointed that the monsters, don't ever win, which is really cool. And it's very interesting that, as a couple people commented in my last review, that Garou actually came first. So that's very interesting. It's kind of a very interesting flip-flop of that idea. And it's kind of interesting thinking about it like that, because we're used to, if you're into My Hero Academia, then it's very interesting watching that and then coming into this and having that flip of seeing this little kid fanboy over the monsters instead of the big hero, But of course, Garou wakes up in present day, and I loved that kid's scene. That was an awesome scene, by the way. But he wakes up in a garbage pile because Saitama had knocked him out the night previously, and it's really weird because who picked him up and put him over there? Like, do Japanese garbage men just find unconscious bodies and don't think, hey, I need to bring this guy to the hospital, let's just put him with the other garbage? But that was pretty funny. But his memory's cloudy, and then we have some executive talk about having S-class heroes accompany them wherever they go. And this is kind of interwoven with Garou setting his sights on King, and it's also interwoven with the executives asking King, who is in the middle of a quote-unquote battle, battling a monster, but he's really battling, they think that he's battling a monster in real life, but he's really battling a monster in the video game. I freaking love that, man. So he refuses to do it. Of course, we know that King isn't really a very strong, he's just a regular dude, and they think he's like the top S-class hero. But Garou sets his sights on King, and he goes on his merry way to find S-class heroes to beat them up, So Metal Bat, however, accepts this kind of task of accompanying an executive and his kid at a sushi bar. And this was freaking hilarious, because if you are familiar with this type of sushi restaurants, it's like a conveyor belt that kind of goes around the center area, and then in the middle you have the sushi chefs putting the stuff on the plates, and the color of the plates corresponds to the price of that sushi. So if you get 5 blue plates and the blue plates are $2, your meal is $10. So they keep trying to put the plates back on the conveyor belt to be polite, because they're like, rich executives, and they're not used to this kind of less fancy sushi place, I guess. And they keep trying to put the plates on, and Metal Bat's getting pissed off, and he's like, if they do this one more time, I'm gonna kill him. Oh my god, that was freaking hilarious, man. So this whole story of these S-class heroes protecting these directors or executives or whatever is very interesting, because the reason they decided to do this is because Garou beat up that one director, and the reason he did that is because the director was trying to talk himself up to these babes, saying that he's like fighting on the front lines. So that caught Garou's attention. He's like, oh, this guy's a hero who fights on the front lines, so I'm gonna get a good fight out of this guy. And instead he ended up just pummeling the crap out of the dude. So now the Heroes Association thinks that Garou is targeting the directors instead of just heroes now, but they are going to inadvertently draw Garou closer to these executives, because by putting S-class heroes with them, that is who Garou is targeting, so he's going to be drawn to these S-Class heroes, thereby putting these directors in danger, so that's rather interesting. But moving back to Metal Bat, he gets a call from his sister, so he goes back to talk to her, and of course, during this 1 minute span of time, the freaking centipede monsters attack, and they try to kidnap this executive's kid, and we don't really know why. And at the end of this episode, we're still unclear as to why they're trying to do this. But unfortunately, we don't get to see the fight because we cut away to Saitama with a freaking wig on his head. I didn't think you could make Saitama look any funnier with hair than he does without hair, but he's disguised as Tronco, and this is hilarious because Sourface comes in, and he actually is familiar with Tronco because he used to be a part of Bang's dojo, or Silver Fang's dojo. So you get a lot of tension here because Sourface is kind of going through this Wolfman that entered the tournament, but it turned out not to actually be the Wolfman because the actual Wolfman was found later unconscious, and Garou is the one who took his place and won the actual tournament. So they put this major rule in place that you can't like wear headgear, and Saitama's like, oh no, I have this headgear, this wig. But he's like sweating a lot profusely because, you know, you can get in massive trouble for doing what Saitama is doing. And of course, Sourface isn't suspicious, it turns out, at all over Saitama. He's just there because he used to be in Bang's dojo, and he is not anymore because of Garou, and later find out that Garou left, so he didn't need to leave at all. So now he wants to join the tournament to try to fight Garou. So that's like kind of an interesting thing, and I'm looking forward to seeing what they do with Sourface. Is he really as powerful as, or as strong as he is talking himself up to be? And that goes to show too that, you know, not all powerful people are heroes or monsters. There's like martial artists out there that don't join the Hero Association, as Saitama was at the beginning of season 1 of One Punch Man. So that's very interesting stuff, and it's really setting it up to be something that could be quite interesting going forward. But going back to Metal Bat, unfortunately we didn't see the fight between him and the centipedes, but they bring up Senti Senpai, which, if you don't know, in Japanese, senpai is a term that refers to like an upperclassman or somebody that's older than you that you look up to, that you respect, and you add senpai to their name as like kind of a respect kind of thing. But then Senti Senpai busts in, and Metal Bat is having a tough time with him, and we cut away to Garou hanging out with the kid again. And I love this dynamic between Garou because he's such a villain to the heroes, but he's like hanging out with this kid all buddy-buddy like, even though probably, as we've seen in the beginning of the episode, because he kind of sees himself in this kid to a certain degree, even though the kid likes heroes and Garou likes monsters. I love this little dynamic that they have here. But the alarm goes off, and it is escalated to a demon level threat, which is basically a city-wide threat. So you need to kind of evacuate your people from the area. But Metal Bat is kind of getting his butt handed to him a little bit by Senti Senpai, which of course adds a lot of tension to the fight. But of course, Metal Bat, and showing how badass he is, and I really love how they focused on him here, because we got a little bit of him in the last season fighting Melzagard, which was a lieutenant of Boros, the main baddie of last season, toward the end of the last season, and Metal Bat was really cool there. But now we're really getting into him and really getting into his head and showing how much of a tough ass he is. But he vigors up and he defeats Senti Senpai, which kind of triggers a giant one. If you didn't think that was big enough, now we got a giant freaking guy, basically an Avengers centipede from the first Avengers movie. So the threat level is increased to Dragon, which is a multi-city threat level, and you're thinking, okay, Metal Bat had to power up to defeat Senti Senpai. How the F is he gonna freaking fight this giant purple centipede? And it's so cool looking. You know, when there's like CG and animation, it really usually takes me out of it a lot, but for some reason this didn't really stick out to me that much, and I thought it was really freaking cool looking how the movements of the centipede like went through the city, you know what I'm saying? And Metal Bat's like running along this thing, and he tries to hit it, but it's so freaking hard that it's like he has to go to its freaking face And of course, I should mention that Pineapple and another hero go to get the executive and his son. And there's another flower creature that put them to sleep that Metal Bat took care of before this. But he's running along the thing and he goes up to its freaking face. And he's like, okay, I can't pierce your armor with my bat. I am going to do a dragon pummeling on you. And he does his special move and just pummels the crap out of it. But unfortunately, it doesn't defeat the monster, and Metal Bat gets hit way over to where Garou is, because Garou had heard that Metal Bat was battling the creature, so he made his way to the S-Class hero Metal Bat. And now we have Metal Bat squaring off against Garou at the end of the episode with this giant purple centipede wreaking havoc on destroying the city. Oh my god. So we're gonna need some other S-Class heroes to go take care of this centipede while Metal Bat squares off against Garou. And it's interesting because Metal Bat is like really scuffed up and he's like bloody, but he doesn't really seem fazed by this damage really. So it's very interesting. I wonder how this is gonna fare. What do you guys think? What do you guys think is going to happen in the next episode? Do you think we're going to have a really like even fight between these guys? Or do you think Garou is going to fairly easily defeat Metal Bat? I think the fight's going to actually be fairly even. So man, really looking forward to that. Really pumped. This episode overall was not as action-packed as the last one, but I didn't mind it as much because the action that we did get was really cool, and we got some more shine on Metal Bat, which was badass in the last season, so that was really satisfying. It was a little bit draggy at points, but whatever. What do you guys think? Did you enjoy this episode? Did you think it was crap? I fairly enjoyed it like all the other episodes, but as always, thanks a lot for watching. I hope you enjoyed this review, and take it easy.